Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, and I'm so happy you joined us. We got a really great show for you today. We're diving once again into some of our national parks. It's always a fun adventure. I'm here with my co-explorer, Amy Long.
Hello.
We are coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios, and we are chatting about Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks. And we're going to look at some of the best views you can find, some of the best hiking trails that are out there, different popular photo spots, the best time to visit, all of that good stuff, and including what we're going to get into. Why are these two parks that are separate entities, why are they always mentioned together?
Right. So when we went, all I knew was we were going to Sequoia, and we went to the visitor center, and all the magnets, all the stickers, all the shirts would say Sequoia / Kings Canyon. And I was like, what? Yeah. What's the name? I'm very confused. And so
why would they have two separate names for one park? Just pick one, right?
And then you enlightened me. It's actually two different parks that butt up against each other, but they operate as one.
Right. If you've never been in California, California is blessed with nine parks.
Is that the most?
I believe so.
I think so.
And we are super lucky to be on the West Coast because even here in Las Vegas, we have access to so many, I want to say almost 15 or 16 parks, national parks that are drivable within driving distance here of Las Vegas. You're talking about the famous 5 in Utah and all the parks here in Southern California, including Joshua Tree and all the ones around us. So we really are blessed in this sense that we can fill up a tank of gas and go out for a weekend and hit a couple of national parks, and usually a couple of national parks, not just one or the other. And in this case, it is pretty much the truth, right? So a couple of years ago, we did take a trip. We rented an Airbnb in beautiful Springville, California, excuse me. And it was, we had a house on a real working farm. There was another family. They kind of kept off to themselves and everything, but they had horses, cows, goats, dogs, chickens, all kinds of stuff. And we brought our dog and our daughter, and they both equally had a really great time. Our dog had never seen so much stuff. He had never seen chickens or horses. The guy, I think, still dreams about it.
Right. I mean, we were looking for a weekend getaway.
Yeah.
We found this Airbnb on a farm, and it was like, oh, well, that sounds fun. We didn't really look at what was around the area because we just thought, let's just go get away for the weekend. And then we get there, and you're like, hey, Sequoia's an hour away.
And it was technically a riding retreat.
It was.
Now, you write and I write, and we decided we're going to spend almost a week in seclusion. We're going to have this nice place, and we are going to get some writing done. And we did like the opposite.
We did. I think we spent one day writing.
I think so. And it was very poorly done on my part, so apologies for that. But so looking at this, I mean, we're right on the edge of one of the entrances to Sequoia National and Kings Canyon National Parks. So we were like, let's do it. But the story behind it is a little interesting, right? So Sequoia National Park was created September 25th, 1890. And it is technically our second oldest national park, championed by the legendary John Muir and all of these people that wanted to really dedicate themselves in preserving our national parks and the creation of our national parks. Kings Canyon, on the other hand, is our 24th national park. So why, and it wasn't created until 1940. So why all of a sudden do you have this thing where these two parks are always mentioned together and everything else? Well, the simple term is FDR, one of our U.S. presidents here, decided it's easier to just combine the two and have them managed under one management oversight group, and just kind of do it that way. Because there was, and here's where it gets complicated, right? There was another national park, a very small one that was dedicated to General Ulysses S. Grant. And yes, I said Ulysses. I don't know, you might say Ulysses or something else, but this is how I'm going to pronounce it.
There's a lot of S's in that name.
That's a name right there. We need to bring those type of names
back. When you name your child something like that, they're going to be remembered.
You better be remembered. I can't talk about a guy working at Walmart. His name is Ulysses. And if you do, I apologize. This national park, Grant National Park, was technically our fourth national park, and it was actually created the same year, October 1st, 1890. It was a very small grove of sequoia trees. Now, if you've never seen sequoia trees, they are ginormous.
They're massive.
They are tall. They are large as far as circumference. They are majestic trees.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the famous redwood trees in California, which is our, a different...
Northern California.
Yeah, different technical type of trees or whatever. But so
you had Sequoia, and then a little bit away you had this.
A very short distance away, about
Grant
6
Grove.
miles away, you had the Grant Grove, which had all these other sequoias. FDR basically was like, you know what? He was a champion of our national parks. He said, let's buy up another 700 square acres of land around there. Let's combine them. Let's make one big Kings Canyon National Park instead of just this little grove of trees. Mm-hmm. And just kind of these parks now sit up against each other. They have a part of the Sierra Nevada mountain range in them, which also includes the tallest peak in the continuous United States, which is Mount Whitney at over 14,000 feet. That sits right inside of Sequoia National. And all of these giant trees, which two of the largest on Earth, somewhere in the 30s, 40s, 50s, somewhere around that, scientists around the world said, let's start measuring trees by volume, not just height, not just circumference or whatever, by volume. And so that's how we ended up with the two largest trees on Earth by volume in these national parks.
I'm just wanting
almost
to
6
know
miles apart.
Why they felt the need to measure trees by volume.
Scientists are always
You would
doing
think,
stuff,
okay,
man.
that's the tallest tree in the world. Yeah. That's the widest tree in the world. Mm-hmm. Did somebody in California say we need a claim to fame with our trees, so find a way for us to have the biggest tree in the world?
Let's be honest. It probably was some kind of American thing where we were like, look, we can't beat them on height or circumference, so let's just come up with
Let's find a way.
We're gonna find a different way to just make ourselves number one. USA number one.
So the General Sherman tree is technically the biggest tree in the world?
It's massive, right? So technically, by volume, it is the biggest tree in the world. It's 275 feet tall. It's over 100 foot in circumference, which is very large. And
what
it's
is
almost
that in meters for our non-American listeners?
I'm joking. As far as tall, 83.8 meters tall, 31.3 meters in circumference. It's a large tree. The General Grant tree is 107 feet in circumference, so actually bigger than the General Sherman tree, and 267 feet tall.
Then I don't understand how the Sherman is bigger.
Man, look.
Maybe I don't understand math.
I don't want to understand at this point.
I mean, when we went, I saw both of these trees, and they're big, but there was no like, oh, that one's obviously bigger than that one. They're just giant trees.
Yeah, we walked around them a little bit. A few years ago, they decided that the General Grant tree was about 1,600 years old. The General Sherman tree is upwards of 2,700 years old.
Wow.
So these are very old, very tall, majestic trees. And actually, a couple of years ago, very recently, 2003, in terms of tree years, the General Grant tree actually went from third place to second in a very tragic way. The Washington tree, also named after one of our presidents, lost its place after being struck by lightning and lost half of its crown, the top of its tree head. I don't know. And then
hair.
A couple years later, lost another chunk of itself through snow.
I didn't know a tree could move up in the rankings.
Well, this one did. Maybe it was murder. Tree murder? Maybe. I don't know. We're getting into some mystery, some true crime here in Sequoia National Park.
Crime.
There you go. Stay with us. I know, we're going off the rails. It's an Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hi.
We're coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. We are chatting about two of our favorite national parks, Sequoia National and Kings Canyon National Park, which are operated by one entity. There you go. That's why they're together there. That happened in 1943, by the way. These parks have, as you would imagine, tons of trails, tons of views. I mean, you could spend, and people do often spend days and days and days in these national parks.
We were only there for one day, and we did not get to see half of what we wanted to.
We didn't get to see.
We could spend an entire weekend there and still not see all the different viewpoints and hike the different trails. Yeah. We definitely need to go back.
But we did make a pretty good effort.
We did.
At getting to a lot of the popular spots. So a little bit later, we will talk about some of the off the beaten path, hidden gem stuff.
You love that phrase.
Kill me. But we also have a list of the best views and hiking trails in that area, and a lot of them that we did get to because they are closely, they are in close proximity to each other.
Yeah.
The first one, the one that always stands out to me is Morro Rock. And it's panoramic views of the Western Divide there in the United States. And it's something that I don't think you didn't climb it.
No, just you and our daughter went because we had our dog with us.
Yeah.
And
that's a good
even
point.
though the park is pet friendly, pets are not allowed on every trail.
Yeah.
And even the ones that pets are allowed on, the trails are so congested with other people. Like, we just found it was better to not take him on certain ones, like Morro Rock. So I stayed at the bottom. There were a lot of people down there with their pets, actually, because, and you can get more into this, but it's not a trail. You are actually kind of climbing up the side of a giant rock.
Yeah. There is kind of this dome, this rock dome. And it is, I mean, for the most part of it, there are steps that they've put in, metal steps and everything. So it is an easier climb in that sense. You're not climbing up scrambling up a rock or anything like that. But it is challenging if you have mobility issues and things like that. But it is rewarding at the end. Myself and my daughter, we have tons of pictures from up there. We spent a good amount of time up there once we get to the top. And I'm not really a climber. Now, I've done Half Dome and things like that. But at that point, I think that was actually before my Half Dome trip.
Yeah.
So I have this thing with heights. So I don't really like them. And I want to puke sometimes.
That's an understatement.
But getting up there, it was very wide. It was I felt safe the entire time. At no point did I ever. And it was kind of congested, like you said, with people. So Morro Rock was still a really great adventure going up, getting the views, checking out everything. And even coming back down, we hit one of our favorite things. We have a lot of great pictures from the tunnel log.
Right.
The tunnel log is a fallen sequoia that they never, instead of like cleaning it out of the way or whatever, they just cut a big old hole, like car-shaped hole in it. And now it's a great photo spot. And people may roll their eyes if they've gone there a lot and seen the pictures, but it's a wonderful spot to take a really fun and interesting photo, like driving through
You actually
one of these giant
drive
sequoias.
through a fallen tree.
Yeah.
And we were lucky enough to get there when there was only one other car. So we waited
We got
for
to
that
take
car
our
to leave. And we
time.
got to take our time, get some cool photos and video. Our daughter thought it was awesome. And if I remember right, not too far from the tunnel log is another fallen tree where the roots have completely come up. And we stopped and got photos of that because you get to see how ginormous the root systems on these trees are, because it's just laid over right on the side of the road. So lots of other, as we were leaving, another car or two had parked right there and was getting pictures of their car in front of these trees.
Yeah. You'll also, in that same, driving distance, you'll have Panoramic Point, which has amazing views of the Sierra Nevada mountain range. And then we didn't get to go down this, but people rave about it all the time. One of the best scenic drives you can possibly make, the Kings Canyon Scenic Byway. Now, this is a drive through the deep canyon that it's named after, Kings Canyon, that was cut by Kings River. I know, they're very original with their names, but it's a very, very beautiful spot to go through. And I hear, especially like in fall late fall when the leaves have changed, or early winter when there's snow on the mountains and things like that. So you might want to write that one down, the Kings Canyon Scenic Byway. It takes you to get there. If you're in Sequoia, you'll need to go out and go up to the actual Kings Canyon Scenic Byway, which is a little bit of a drive, but it's worth the trip. There's other places like Buck Rock Lookout and Crescent Meadow, which is often called the Gym of the Sierra. So there's beautiful views out there. Let's talk real quick about some of the popular trails. Right. One of these you found out for yourself, the General Sherman Tree Trail. Tell me about this little adventure you went on. So
again, the biggest tree in the world. There's a parking lot, and then there's signs that you go down this trail to see this tree. We should have known, if there's a parking lot just to go see this tree. Like, this is a little bit more than just, I'm going to walk over and see this tree. But again, I don't think you could take dogs down there. So you decided to stay up in the parking area. And I and our daughter went down to see the tree. What we didn't know at the time is it's a half-mile trail that just zigzags back and forth because you are going down the mountain to get to the tree. So you zigzag for half a mile. No problem going down. I didn't even consider what it was like to go back up. But when you get down there, yes, there is this giant tree. It's kind of has a little wooden gate around it, so you can't get right up next to the tree. But there's a few other big trees down there too. So it didn't feel so packed that we couldn't see the tree, because you could see it from a lot of different angles, but there were a lot of people there. So there was a line in front of the tree to take a picture of it with the sign. So we did that, and we went and looked at a few other trees. And then it was time to go back up to the parking lot. What I did not realize at the time was they actually offered a shuttle that would drive you up to the parking lot.
That would have been helpful.
Instead, we walked the half-mile trail, which zigzags. It's basically switchbacks all the way back up. I had to take a couple of breaks. I'm a little bit ashamed to say I was not in good enough shape to walk from the tree to the parking lot without taking 2 breaks.
You look...
Our daughter was not happy with me. I told her to go on ahead. Just leave me. Just leave your mother down by the tree.
Just leave me here. This is where I belong to the forest now. You looked like you just came from the Outlands with Lewis and Clark and Sacagawea.
I was so just irritated.
Carrying a baby.
I was hot because it was summer when we went too. It just,
And it gets very, very warm there. Yeah.
You just have to be prepared. It may say easy hike, but there's some elevation changes you need to be prepared for.
As Scar from The Lion King said, be prepared. And nearby, though, we didn't know at the time, is the Congress Trail, which is a peaceful little loop through the giant forest that we 1000% missed. But it was hilarious to see you come stumbling in and out of the forest. So we're talking Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks. Stay with us. It's the Unscaled Travel Show.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy.
Hi.
Remember, for all of our past episodes and interviews, you can find us at unscaledtravelshow.com, or you can check out our brand new YouTube channel, Unscaled Travel Show, right there. Some more videos coming your way, I guess.
If you want to see our adventures,
if you want to see them,
not
just hear 2 ridiculous people stumbling through the woods. There you go.
Oh, yeah. Nothing will prove how old you are, like trying to climb a trail that everyone else is passing you on.
You're like in a North Face jacket. You got hiking poles, and then a kid in Crocs with a SpongeBob sippy bottle.
It's more when it's like the grandma walking up, passing you.
Don't let them grandmas fool you, boy. They hike.
Those mall walker grandmas.
Yeah, circling back to some of the trails that we talked about earlier in the show. we mentioned the General Sherman Tree and the Congress Trail, but also there's a few others like in Kings Canyon, the Mist Falls Trail. It's a moderate kind of hike. It has beautiful, if you go in the right time of the year, waterfall views, right? The Misty Falls. And then there's like Big Baldy Ridge.
Say that again.
No, you got to say that correctly the first time and then move on from it. And then there's the Lakes Trail. Lakes Trail heads down to Heather Lake. It's not the Heather Lake like in Washington. It's the California one. But this one is for more experienced hikers. Okay. It's
So,
longer.
Not me.
Yeah, not according to that story. No, it's a longer hike, but you are rewarded with some beautiful alpine scenic vistas there, all those buzzwords. So you get all of that. So like in saying all of that, it gets very hot. We went in summertime. It gets extremely hot sometimes. And it almost acts like a little, biodome right there. And
Right.
it traps a lot of heat and things like that. It's trees, right? Really tall trees. So bring lots of water. I cannot stress that enough. Almost every single year, just like in places like Grand Canyon, unfortunately, hikers pass away almost every single year in these places because they underestimate how much water you need and overestimate their abilities.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. So bring a lot of water and proper footwear, and it can go a long way.
I think part of it is exactly what happened to me. It said easy trail. It was easy going down. It was not so easy coming up for somebody who doesn't do that type of walking every day.
Right.
So they did provide shuttles. I wasn't aware of that at the time, but if you're going, be a little more prepared than we were, maybe, and research the trails and the accessibility.
And even though it's a national park, and they do have, and it's one of the older and more well-funded national parks, sometimes the facilities can be overrun on busy days. So bathrooms and things like that they do have, parking lots, parking is a premium. Sometimes you might have to walk or park in some overflow parking. All of that adds into it. So you just need to do your homework and be as prepared as you can. But, staying in that kind of vein, some of the best times to visit are in those summer months, oftentimes more popular. Fall will give you those beautiful colors, a little bit lesser crowds, cooler temperatures, which may be ideal. Wintertime, right? You get snow in the mountains, snow in the trees. Sometimes it can be a lot, but it also means that a lot of roads are going to get closed down. Trails are going to get closed down. But you can, if you're like into like scenic photography, landscapes, you can come away with some beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous photos from out there as well. I would probably want to go back when we go back in the springtime. You have a lot of meadows, a lot of dewy meadows, lots of animals frolicking out there, but you get those wildflower blooms that California is known for.
And the waterfalls with the snow melting.
Yeah, the waterfalls are going to be at their peak when the snow is melting, the snowpack is melting from the mountains, and you still get the fewer crowds because schools are out, parents aren't on vacation yet, whatever. So springtime is probably, if you can manage it, your optimal time to visit. Where are you going to get those photos? We kind of mentioned them earlier.
Yeah.
We mentioned the General Sherman Tree. We mentioned the tunnel log, which are going to get really fun photos and, post for your 12 followers on Instagram and all of that stuff. But places like Roaring River Falls, Grizzly Falls inside King Canyon are going to make for incredible photos if you can time it right.
Right. Yeah.
Now, sometimes in those really dry months, those falls can slow to a trickle. And you're not going to get the photos that you want, just FYI. So you want to try to time it the best you can. And there's other places like Sunset Rock. When do you go there? You go at sunrise. No, you go at sunset. It's called Sunset Rock, people.
It's in the name. You mentioned another one earlier, Panoramic Point.
Yeah.
And we were talking that we didn't remember going there, but the more I think about it, we did go there.
Yeah.
We walked out because it was very flat and there was no railing. You're totally
just hanging on
walker
the edge,
beware. But I mean, it's like this giant flat rock that you walk out on, and there were a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, 20 feet from the road and you just walk. Yeah, it was very open. We just sat there for a little bit, taking in the view.
Yeah. And it is one of those ones that just kind of sneaks up on you because you're like, okay, I mean, it's easy access. And you go to the national parks thinking not everything Well, the best views are going to be the hardest ones to
Right.
get to, right? But no, you can go into a lot of these places and just kind of walk down any of these little trails. And a lot of these trails, again, these older national parks, a lot of these trails, the well-known ones, are often grouped together, are very close in proximity. So you could, again, parking is a premium inside Sequoia and Kings Canyon. So you can park your car whenever you can find a parking spot and hit 3 or 4 scenic views or trails, or, you know, the General Sherman Tree is next to the Congress Trail, which is just down from like Heather Lake and all of these like places. So you can reach a lot of these things. And if you're geared up, they do offer camping, like backcountry camping. I believe these national parks are one of the few that are open every single day year round.
Oh, okay.
They're not closed for anything. And the only place I believe that requires a pass or a permit is Mount Whitney. So you can, you know, camp they have lots of camp grounds throughout the park and everything. So you can really kind of get out there and see everywhere that the park has to offer you if you have the time, if you have the experience. But again, just be careful.
Well, when we first drove into the park, we hadn't even gotten to a trail yet, and we just pulled over on the side of the road and just started walking into the trees. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a trail, but it's open enough that you could still see your car, because other people had parked there and they were just walking amongst these giant sequoia trees. And it was
we started a trend, because by the time we left, there was like 10 other cars and people were just wandering off into the woods.
But that was kind of the best place to like just get a picture of, like, I have a picture of you and our daughter in front of one of these trees, and you look so very tiny, because I was standing really far away, but I was able to do that because there weren't a ton of people around us. So even if you're trying to just get cool photos, maybe, again, a phrase you don't love, but go off the beaten path slightly. Don't be too much of an adventurer. But, you know, if there's a place to pull over and get out, take the opportunity.
It's kind of like when we visited Death Valley.
Right.
You know, and I don't recommend just walking off into the desert like you did. But in these trees, you can, which creates wonderful experiences, because you can find places that people aren't checking out. There's not a ton of tourists or whatever visiting that. But it's also can turn very dangerous if you aren't paying attention to what you're doing. It's easy to get turned around, especially in a forest. You don't have clear lines of sight. You don't know where the trail is, especially if you're off the trail. But you can really, in some of these places, just pull over, you know, as long as it's safe, pull over somewhere and just walk out and just see some stuff, see some of these giant trees, or see some of these, you know, little bits of old growth forests, not too much the new stuff, but you can kind of find a little memory, create a little memory, and have a little adventure by yourself, which sounds weird when you say it out loud, but
they make great photos.
Have a little adventure by yourself out in the woods, you know, like a sane person.
Make sure you can still see your car, though.
Yeah, make sure you can always see your car and bring water. So when we come back, we're going to give you some additional tips, know before you goes, and talk a few of these hidden places that you may want to check out next time you go out there. It's the Unscaled Travel Show.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hi.
Nice. We're coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, at the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. We're talking about Sequoia National Park and Kings Canyon National Park, two technically separate national parks in California.
Two for the price of one.
That are right next to each other and operated under the same management. Well, whatever. Whatever you go. Group?
Entity.
There you go. Fun fact. The National Park Service didn't exist until 1913. Sequoia National was created in 1890. So who guarded the parks to make sure loggers and other people, you know, dealing with the resources didn't come in and just kind of take all those resources away?
I don't know.
The U.S. Cavalry. Yeah, the actual guys on horseback. And you think about, all those cavalry, I don't know, movies your pappy used to watch. And it was the U.S. Cavalry. So a lot of the trees and trails and things like that in the park are named after cavalry members. There's like a group of trees called the Parker Group, is one that we stopped at. And it was named after one of the commanders in the unit that patrolled the park from 1891 until 1913.
So they just rode around the park on
naming
horseback,
things, yeah.
naming things, and
Yep.
making sure nobody else touched their stuff.
Yep. The name of the government. However you feel about that.
So no, here is a question though. If the National Park Service wasn't created, who decided it was a national park?
Acts of Congress. So they would put together bills that ratified and created these national parks.
But it wasn't called a national park, or it was called a national park, and they created
park.
the service later.
They created the service to oversee the national parks.
Oh, I see.
When the first park was created, I think it was Yellowstone in 1872. Mm-hmm. There was nothing. It was just a designation. That meant that it was federal-owned land, and it didn't really come under a jurisdiction until 1913, the National Park Service.
Okay.
By that time, there was a good plentiful amount of national parks at that point.
Oh, well.
Some of them were smaller. Remember, the second one is now like a state park or something.
Right.
That went back to the state there in
Detroit?
Michigan.
Michigan, near Detroit, Mackinac.
Mackinac. Oh,
something.
man. Okay, one of those places. Wow, we just did a disservice to it. But it was actually our second national park, and it was, given back to the state or whatever, saying that they couldn't develop it or whatever. So our national parks list is ever evolving and always going through changes. So that's why you have some that were technically created like our second or third, and now they're not ranked because they were combined with a different park or something like that. So do you know what our latest one is?
No.
The New River Gorge.
Oh, you know what? I didn't know that because you were just there.
I went to West Virginia and saw it. It's a beautiful, beautiful park. And somewhere in the next few years, we're probably going to get that was our 64th. We're probably going to get our 65th. So anyway, talking about that.
You love national parks.
I love little trivia in our national parks. So we were talking about other places you can visit and tips, some know before you go type stuff. Other places you can visit, trails and different camps and different activities. There is like Kings Canyon river rafting.
Fun.
During the right season, adventurers can totally go down the Kings River for rafting and checking it all out, especially these last couple of years in California on that side of the Sierra Nevadas. They've had really impactful snow over the season. So when that snow melts, the snowpack melts, it can create a lot of rushing river and beautiful waterfalls and all of those wonderful things that you can take part in and really enjoy.
Right. Which, saying that, I was just looking on the National Parks Service website, and it did say because of those snowfalls melting that there has been flooding in Sequoia and Kings Canyon. So some roads are still being repaired. Some roads and trails are not currently open. So if you're still planning to go anytime soon, you'll definitely want to check out the website and make sure that the trails you're interested in going on are open for you.
Yeah, which is a good point. And like we always mention the America the Beautiful Pass. Mm-hmm. It's $80 a year if for regular citizens. Military, it's free. Senior citizens, it's a reduced price, I think, for life or something like that. But you have the opportunity, if you visit a lot of national parks, to get one pass, and it pays for itself in a couple of visits, and boom, it just takes care of it right there. So definitely do that, and definitely check out the website especially in national parks such as Sequoia and Kings Canyon. Snow and different times of the year, different trails can close, different roads can be closed. And so you'll want to have the latest information right there. Even when we talk about lodging and food options in and around the national parks. So the hidden gems we're talking about, some of these are harder to get to than others. Places like there are high Sierra Nevada camps. Now you can, if you are adventurous and you have the dexterity, you can backcountry camp in the mountains and the real wilderness back there with the animals, and do your best Cinderella impression. Or who's the Cinderella?
No.
Sleeping Beauty. Who's the one that played with the animals? Sleeping Beauty? I don't know, one of them. Ariel, maybe. But you can go out there and play with the animals and play with your friends and make an adventure in the camp.
I don't think you're selling it.
I'm not selling this. And then,
I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
but I
I
think
don't want to
we
participate.
know people who absolutely would do this.
You are probably more of the line of the Zumwalt Meadow.
Zumwalt?
Zumwalt. Zumwalt. Serene. It's Kings Canyon, but it's beautiful views of meadows, river, granite walls of mountains.
Yes, that's more my
That
speed.
is more your speed. Looks like a Thomas Kincaid painting, right? Beautiful stuff. And then a lot of people are surprised to find out how many caves and the cave system that exist in Sequoia and Kings Canyon.
I didn't know that.
Until right now?
Until
there
right this
you go,
minute.
man. It has an extensive cave system, and they do offer one of the most beautiful ones, one of the most popular ones is Crystal Cave. Crystal Cave is a beautiful marble cavern, okay? They have guided tours, and you can go in there and party down with stalagmites and stalactites and all of those things, and, Pitbull and all those guys, Mr. Worldwide. Get down in there, see the Crystal Cave, and really check out something otherworldly. Almost.
Would you do it?
Would I go in the caves?
Be honest. Would you go in the caves?
How many adult beverages are you bringing for me? I have a thing about close
I know you
close
do.
encounters of the third kind there. They're also, so looking, we mentioned going to the website. We mentioned bringing lots of water and everything. And we kind of talked about the entrance fees and the annual passes, but there are things to do for your kids, like the ranger programs and the visitor centers and educational tours. Mm-hmm. If you really want to bore your kids to death, especially the educational tours. I'm kidding. These are wonderful programs and you can learn a lot. In fact, I hear a lot of stuff because I'm that weird 40-year-old guy hanging in the back of the group. Like, I didn't know that. That's how I found out about the cave system. I was like, I didn't know that. And I heard people at the visitor center when we went. I was listening to one of the rangers talk to the kids, and I was like, oh, wow. And I felt bad because I didn't pay for it, but I was listening to it.
But you were listening?
I was listening to the information.
Free hearing.
But again, they have, if you're doing the camping in the back countries or the Sierra Nevada camps, you have to keep in mind altitude. If you're prepared for it, the wildlife encounters. There are not as many as there used to be, but bear encounters and just, it's different animals. It's wild animals out there, and you have to just be prepared.
Right. It's not our place to make them leave. It's their home. So you can't really, if one comes near you, I would hope you would see it coming, but if one comes near you,
I didn't see that squirrel, did you? No.
There was one trail that we didn't mention, the Bear Hill Trail, and it's a less popular trail, but it is great for wildlife watching. I think you have to be a little patient.
Yeah, I think it's one of these trails that follows their watering trails down to different bodies of water and everything. So you can catch animals down there. Just be respectful.
Exactly.
Don't be like these idiots in Yellowstone and try to run up to the bison.
Right.
Be respectful.
This is their home.
The last thing I'll mention is really the stargazing opportunities. It is a designated international dark sky park. Both of these are. So perfect for viewing the Milky Way, the constellations, or just wondering if we're alone in the universe. And that existential dread. You just stare at the dark sky and you're like, oh my God, what is this all about? So we hope we filled you with wonder for this look at some of our national parks. Unscaledtravelshow.com. Check us out there. We'll see you guys next time.